so much for coming.
Sorry it took so long. I was
Kind of had some extenuating circumstances, didn't we?
yeah.
Been doing a little recovering.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I think, I mean, I told you it's not a race. Um, it's, or I guess maybe it's an endurance race. How about that?
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that you were okay and able to come in here
Yeah.
and talk
I'm
to us.
a lot better now. So.
Good, good. Um, I'm glad to hear that. Uh, the first thing I want to explain to you is you are not in trouble.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
think you know that, and I hope you know
That's
that.
good to hear.
You're not in trouble with me one single bit. I don't care really what you tell me.
Okay.
I kind of think that you'll tell me something that might make you feel a little uncomfortable about that night,
Well,
earlier
I
in
mean, I
that
feel
night.
like you need to know.
And that's just it. I
Yeah.
want you to be able to tell me
Yeah.
those things and not have any fear that something's going to happen.
Okay.
Okay? You're my victim. Okay?
All right.
Um, other than that, if I somehow act completely out of character and make you angry and you want to get up and get out of here, I'm sure that
You just grab that part.
you never
Okay, I'll take care of it.
get a chance to even really get there. They would drag you kicking and screaming out of here. I mean, I want you to know you're doing this as a favor to me, being here on
Definitely.
your own, and you can certainly get up and walk out of here. Okay?
Those things that may make her uncomfortable, she's written them down so that she can
Okay.
do that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
You probably won't be able to read my writing, so I'm gonna.
Well, you're gonna do it,
Yeah.
but
No, I
you
can do
made
it.
your note.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right.
And as I told you, it's not like I don't have like a word for word, like the whole conversation, but there are things
Sure.
that definitely stuck out in my memory from outside. Um, from walking inside, I remember going up to David Smith because I've known him for maybe 2 years now, like vaguely, and I just was kind of like, this guy is like crazy outside, and I don't remember anything after that.
Okay.
Wait a minute, sweetie. Wait for his questions.
Okay, I was just
Because I would like to back up
yes,
from what
let's
I think
back up.
even way before then.
Okay.
You're out with friends,
Mhm.
Danon and is it
Erica,
Erica, right?
and we had another friend with us, but she went home before
Before all
the
this happened.
incident. Yes.
Okay. Um, where did you start out on the corner?
We just were at Logan's. We didn't go anywhere else.
Okay.
Um, we left there around like 1:32 and went to Diamond Dogs to get a bite to eat.
Okay.
There were a bunch of people there, a bunch of football players in there. Everything was fine. It was a dandy time. Um,
Can we? Let me ask you a question about Logan's, and I think it's called Louie's now, just
oh,
so we get everything.
Logies.
Logie's on the
Sorry.
corner. That's
Yes.
right. Did you notice anybody in there at the time that you were in there,
Of
other
the
than just your group of friends? But from this incident,
no, and I had been told that they um, stopped and like said
Sweetie,
something to our group of friends.
sweetie, answer what you're asked. Slow
I
down.
did not see him. I did not see any of them. Like in front of Pickleman's was the first time I had laid eyes on any of these people,
okay.
and I had no idea who they were. You know,
So no recollection of seeing
I just
Joe Mixon inside of Loki's, and no recollection of seeing him inside Diamond Dogs.
no, but I wasn't looking for him. Like I didn't.
Certainly
He
then.
didn't. He definitely didn't stick out at me.
Okay.
It wasn't. I feel like I would have remembered seeing him elsewhere if he had made any kind of impression.
Advances
Yeah,
towards you.
at least that I heard or like I could have been in a complete other conversation. I did not. I was completely unaware that
Okay.
he had been in the same place as me
Okay. That's fair.
all evening.
Fantastic. Okay. Okay. So have a bite to eat at Diamond Dogs, and then kind of pick up from there.
Okay, we walked out of Diamond Dogs, and I ran into a friend of mine, Alan and Chibby, and they were sitting outside, and I hadn't seen them since last semester, so I sat and had like a 5-minute conversation with them. Everything was fine. Um, and me, Erica, and Dannon continued to walk down the sidewalk as we were leaving. And Erica has Crohn's disease, so she has to use the restroom randomly all the time. So she's like, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm gonna run a couple minutes. And we're like, okay. We were, I believe we were smoking. Me and Dan were both like smoking a cigarette, so we were waiting outside.
Okay.
Um, and then kind of out of nowhere, I don't remember if they were already standing there or if they came up behind us, but there were four gentlemen that just they were like making cat calls at me, like saying, commenting on how I looked, and it just kind of like escalated from there. They were talking about Joe, I suppose. I didn't know who he was, but it's kind of all over the place because I can't remember everything to them. Anyway, um, like it's my boy's birthday. Like, you wanna like, what are you gonna do for him? Like, um, suggesting that I go home with him and making very specific suggestions about what I could do, to pleasure him. And my first reaction was like
I
to
marked some
laugh.
of them.
Hmm.
I marked some of the things that you want to go ahead and tell.
So you don't want me to say these things?
In your story, tell the detective those things.
Okay. Um,
I hate to ask you to be specific, but I mean, it is important.
um, you know, they were commenting on like how I looked, and um, it was just like it's like very uncomfortable. I mean, um, it was degrading, kind of in a way. The things that they were saying to me, like I was like a piece of meat,
Hmm.
and I don't take kindly to that. So my first reaction was to laugh, like I was like, bye, like leave me alone. And I need my nose.
Okay.
And he said, Joe said something along the lines of, so you'd rather go home with this little faggot than me. And like I'd already started to get mad,
Hmm.
and I was like, who do you think you're talking to? Like, leave me alone. And as soon as they said that, I got very angry. Um, I remember being called a few names that weren't very nice. I'm pretty sure.
Would it be easier if I walked out for this part so you can tell him?
I don't care. Fine.
I mean, if that's what, if I'm
Yeah.
keeping you from saying these things, I'll leave for this part. Would
No,
it be
it's fine.
easier?
No, fine. But I need these. Um, um, like, I just, like things about me, like, obviously, like him taking me home, and he won't suck his dick or anything. And I was like, oh my God, seriously. And I started to get mad. They were being, like, they were harassing me at that point. And,
Referring to you as a bitch.
yes,
Okay.
and I
Let's get
believe
it
I
out
was
here.
called
So,
a whore as well, which is funny. But I remember saying to him that I would never in a million years go anywhere with him. Like, he was out of his mind. I was like, I don't know who you think you are,
And
who
that
you
is
think I
to
am.
Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of to the
You
whole
didn't know
group.
who he was at that
I had no
point or
idea. It was
anything
kind
like
of to
that, but
everybody because they were all being,
okay.
like, horrible. Um, so when I said I would never in a million years go anywhere with you, he goes, oh, so you'd rather go home with that fucking faggot. And I got really mad, so I faced Joe, and I was just like, don't fuck with me. Like, please, like, don't, like, do not mess with my friend. Don't mess with me. Like, this isn't, just don't. Like, just stop, go away. And he goes, oh, you're a bad bitch. Like, what are you going to do about it? And I just kind of, like, looked at Dan, and I was like, is he serious? And there was a kid with dreads. Don't know who he is, but he was one of the four boys, and he said something along the lines of, okay, how about you hit him, like, motioning to Joe, and I'll hit your little gay friend. And I had to ask him to repeat himself. I was like, excuse me? And he said it again, and that's when like I realized that things had definitely gotten out of hand, and I like we weren't necessarily like safe out there, because I felt like they were being serious, like they actually would harm us. So I grabbed Dannon and I went inside. Um,
At this point, Mia, your friend has already gone inside to use the restroom.
yeah, she was not there for any of this.
Okay,
She went
that's
right inside,
important.
and we were just standing outside.
Because that's why you stopped. She
That's the
needed to
only,
go to
yeah,
the bathroom.
yeah.
Okay, all right, go on.
So this whole thing, I was just like in shock, literally, that this was happening. Like, like occasionally something like that'll happen, and it'll like end and walk away. Like people are disrespectful sometimes, but they were not leaving it alone, and they started being aggressive about it. So I grabbed in it and I went inside. I was like, okay, we are definitely not gonna stand out there anymore. One of the guys, as I was walking in, like I heard him, they were like, it's almost like they were like egging him on, like, are you gonna take that from that bitch? Like, seriously? So this is like as I was walking inside. So I'm pretty sure I had Dannon by the hand, but I don't remember. I know that I saw Dave and a couple other people that I knew, and I was just like I wasn't trying to get him to do anything about it. I was just like, this guy's, like, they're, seriously, I think they're trying to fight me right now. Like, this guy's out of his mind. And that's where I go blank. Like, I remember, like, a flash. Um,
Mia's not seen the tape.
I have not. I remember talking with Dave, and then I remember, like, a flash of, like, looking at Joe like he was in front of me, and then just, like, it was like I got hit by a train and, like, black. And I woke, like, regained consciousness, and I was on the ground, and there was blood, like, all over the floor. And I, like, tried to get up, but I was just, like, couldn't, so I think I, like, passed out again.
He's seen the rest of it. Wait for the question. Okay?
Yeah.
Wait for his next question.
Do you have, and I think you've answered this, I'm just making sure I'm clear.
Hmm.
You have no memory then of any conversation that took place at that table
I don't.
other than, hey, Dave Smith, I think these guys are trying to fight me.
Yeah. Like, I don't even remember him walking inside. Like, I couldn't have told you, like, what he was wearing or what he looked. I knew that he was, like, a black guy. That's, like, afterwards, like, that's literally all I, like, could remember.
Okay. After,
And I know that things, I'm sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
no,
Like, I knew that things were, like, it was a confrontation. Like, I knew that like, was happening, and I walked inside for a reason. Like, I did not want to be involved in it anymore. Um, so I went inside where I believed I was safe. Um, but, like, apparently not.
do you remember then after the assault, what happens after you are able to finally actually people help you up?
Um, I remember, like, finally being able to get up and just, like, walking or maybe running, I don't know, to the bathroom. And apparently I locked myself in the boys' bathroom because Erica was still in the girls' bathroom. And I was just in total shock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew I got hit, like, really hard, but I was just in shock. And, like, a ton of people were banging on the door, and I just, like, wouldn't let anybody in. I had blood, like, running down my arms. That's how bad it was. And so I kind of started to, like, freak out. And Erica finally comes out of the bathroom, and she's like, Mia, it's me, let me in. So I finally let her in, and she just, like, started crying, like, on the spot, like, when she saw me. And she was like, oh my God, what happened? And there's another girl there that plays softball, and her name, Paris, I think is her name. And she was, like, in the doorway too, like, with, like, trying to, like, get me cleaned up. And I was like, he hit me. And she was like, yeah, he hit you really hard. And I remember Erica was just like, come on, we need to go out here. So we walk out into the store, and one of the people that worked there handed me, like, a rag with ice in it because the blood was just, like, coming out of my face. Um, and I took it, and I just remember I just wanted to go home, and they were like, no, like you're not allowed to go home. The police are on the way. Um, and I remember the police pulling up and the ambulance pulling up, and they asked me what happened, and I told them like as best I could. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
in shock for several hours after like this happened. When he hit me, my I can't really do it right now, but my bottom teeth were like about half an inch over.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew something was wrong. I thought he like either just like broke or dislocated my jaw. Um, but I didn't like really expect all the other stuff. I called her and she like left Dallas almost immediately to come and get me. Um,
Called who?
my mom called my mom and she came and got me. I called my dad first and my dad called my mom because I wasn't like really thinking. I was
Okay.
Do you remember, in between the time that you came out of the bathroom and before the ambulance arrived, any conversation specifically from either Erica or Damon?
no. I mean, they were like trying to console me because I was like really shaken up. But I do remember the kid with the dreads that I mentioned earlier. As I was walking out of the bathroom, he was standing in the doorway, just like looking at me, like in shock, and then walked away.
Okay.
Um, they they didn't, they were just they were. I'm pretty sure both crying at the time, or at least were when we were in the hospital and on the way to the hospital. Um,
Dannon and Eric.
Dan and Erica.
Have you spoken to Dannon?
Um, yes, I
I
have.
mean,
Not.
in between my interview with him and now,
Yeah.
has he kind of explained to you some of the things that were alleged as
Um,
far as?
well, I mean, I've heard, like, I have
No, no,
stayed
no.
away from.
Answer what he asked. He said,
Has
did
he?
Dannon? Okay.
Yeah, he's told me some things, but I've heard them from other
Other
sources
sources
as
too.
well. And I don't. I can tell you that I am 100% sure that I did not um, use any racial slurs towards him. I That's just not something that I would ever do. I grew up in a place where there are a lot of black people, and I've had arguments with them before. I've been really mad at an African American person before, and I've never, ever in my life called somebody that.
That's not in Mia's. It would not be her go-to move.
Like, it
Okay.
hurts me when other people say it.
That's
Like,
not.
in the hospital, Dan and Erica kept, like, referring to him as that. They were angry, and that's understandable, but I had to ask them to stop. Um, but it really, like, kind of hurts me that I'm being made out to be, like, a racist because the color of skin had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
There was a white boy with him too, I think, and like he's just the one that so happened to cross the line, I guess. I had no idea who he was. I had no idea he was on the football team. None. And I didn't find out until the next day, in the middle of the next day, like after everybody else knew.
Did those men identify themselves, the four of them, as being ball players
No.
outside? Okay.
They said nothing about who they were.
Just big guys. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but they didn't really have the demeanor of, of an OU football player from my perspective. Like, I know
Mia
few of
comes
them.
from a family of really big guys, so you know. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was not intimidated at first. I thought it was, like, it was disrespectful and it was wrong, but it wasn't, I didn't feel like I was in danger
At first.
at first. And especially when they started attacking Dannon and saying those things to him, like, that is not okay with me. Like, never has been and it never will be. And I will always say something.
Okay.
Erica and Dannon did use that word at the emergency room.
Hmm.
Okay.
And they were both like in tears. Like I was obviously like I was crying kind of on and off, but they were both hysterical at one point. And neither like Erica loves black guys. Like she's not racist. Like neither is Dan, and I know that for sure. But they were angry and um, I guess thought that it was acceptable, or I don't even think that they were thinking about it.
I mean,
You know.
slow down. Answer what you're asked.
Well, you've done a great job.
Thank
I
you.
mean, that's a lot of good detail um,
It's
that
everything
you
I've
can
got.
be expected to provide
Yeah.
after going through something like that. It it explains some things that I thought I already knew.
Hmm.
Um, it is in direct conflict with uh, 10 or 12 written statements that I have about what happened. Um, but it's much more, in my opinion, reasonable. It's a more reasonable explanation
Yeah.
of what happened.
I mean, if that place had been filled with my friends, it would have been a completely different scenario, and I would have.
As far as the stories being told afterwards, I think that's fair. Um,
And like, I was talking to
Mia,
David, but he's not.
wait for questions.
Okay.
well, and I only bring that up because it's something that we will have to deal with
Yeah.
from this point on. And
Are they? Sorry.
That's all
you
right.
can
You
ask a
can ask the
question.
questions.
Are the statements that you were given by these people consistent with each other?
Yes and no. You know, um, I can tell you that 4 people out on that sidewalk, no, I'm sorry, 6 people out on that sidewalk, at least want me to believe that this all started over cigarette smoke
There's no way.
and that they were perfect angels about it and very politely, tried to correct the situation where they were around some secondhand smoke and none of this other stuff, that couldn't have happened. So,
Well,
and really in some of the stories there is, a little bit of truth here and there. Um, Almost everyone says that you did not use a racial slur.
no, I didn't. Like when I was obviously like I wouldn't have remembered if I did, but I know like in my heart that I would not have done that no matter how angry I was. So.
And the defense attorney, who actually got this case before I got this case, um, well,
As we
maybe
all.
you know uh, some of this. I mean, he's done his digging, and there are, you know, he thinks he has a tweet sent out by you about messing with Mia, or I can't remember what
About
it
what?
says. This
Messing
this
with
is
who?
what happens when you mess with Mia.
I didn't
Or
tweet anything. I am not a frequent tweeter anyway, but I deleted my Twitter the next day.
okay, and
I
that's not accusatorial on my part. I could care less. I mean, I'm just
I didn't
saying
post
that.
anything on any social media. Like I didn't even tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
I had friends like obviously people found out fast, and I had friends that were mad because I didn't call them and tell them.
Hmm.
You know, um, there was something that I saw on Twitter, a quote that like your like headline quote, something that I post like made my headline quote 3 years ago. Ironically, it was like, "Don't be bullied into silence. Like, don't allow yourself to be made a victim. Define your own life," or something like that. Um, that was, that stemmed from completely different thing that happened several years ago. Um, I saw somebody like take that and think that it was about this incident, and it wasn't.
I just want you to be aware that that stuff is going on and that stuff is happening.
I'm aware. I just choose not to look at it.
And I don't think that you should, but this is, well, I can't tell the future
I've
at
seen
all.
some crazy things.
I just want you to know that if this winds up in a criminal court of law, you're going to see some of those things whether you want to or not.
Okay.
That's not a discouragement. That's nothing other than a please prepare yourself.
Okay.
Please harden yourself against any attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Me will be all right.
Okay.
As you know, I told you we elected. Uh, I'm an old lawyer. I don't try my cases in the media. Okay? And goodness knows I had enough high-profile ones that could if I wanted to. I don't think that would have helped me, and I don't see how it would have edified anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And the one statement we did give is that we just wanted her to be allowed to heal.
Right.
Um, she'll be all right. She'll get there, and Mia will do what needs to be done. And, but as you can see from listening to her, she's very brave, but she's still a girl. And what occurred that night? Well, I don't know if grown women like the three sitting here could have handled it either. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the difference is we didn't know to get on our phone, dial 911 right away. You don't know that when you're that age. Okay, um, she'll do what. She'll be all right. I just didn't want to read it while she was trying to cope.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. The reason that I ask is it's my intent to file a charge of aggravated assault and battery, which can easily be proven with what I've gotten and what you've provided. Um, I was considering a charge of maiming as well, but that is the way that that statute is written is very specific,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be basically an observable injury. So, and it even says not upon close inspection,
Yeah.
and or
All of mine's deep in my
Well,
face.
or a
listen.
permanent, yeah, some kind of permanent damage uh, that would alter your performance, and that, that
Well, detective.
eyesight is a possible
Yes.
is a possible.
I would tell you by way of, for lack of a better expression, a lawyer's closing arguments. Those fractures to the face worry me the most. Um, we're asking her to go through the rest of her life never having a car accident, never holding a baby on her lap from behind her back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those worry me greatly. Okay, in terms of, okay.
Like it makes me very nervous for people to even be on this side of my face if I like can't see them.
I also have, if you want this, I need the copies. I need to make copies while we're here, but something tells me you've got a copy machine. Okay. Most of
I
what
may not be smart enough to
yeah,
use it.
most of what we have uncovered, we've gotten probably off the internet. Mixon coming off a 1 week suspension for unsportsmanlike foul penalty. Um, Freedom Star running back Joe Mixon ejected for throwing a punch in the Antioch game, suspended. Uh, let's see, suspended for a game. This one is Anthony Hernandez. I know for a fact he threw my daughter to the ground and hit her. I went to the school and Freedom made me leave. They hit him in the office. He got no punishment. The police even came. I was escorted off the campus as if I did something wrong. These are simply the facts. He's a woman leader. Again, this is, you know, we found this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Just doing ordinary Sunny Boy Boxer as it happened at Freedom, okay? Um, obviously, at some point, there'll be boots on the ground. We'll go out and interview Mr. Hernandez and some of these other good folks. But as a result of Mr. Finley's election, and it was Mr. Finley's election, to have Mia's name over and over and over and over again in the paper. And you know, it wasn't good enough to just say Mia Molitor. We had to do the whole thing. We had to do Amelia Ray so that they follow her to Texas. She's got crazy fans following her to Texas, sitting outside of her mother's house.
My
Okay?
little brother and my mom's name are like on the internet and like my address, and not okay.
I'm sorry, I get kind of. But while that, as a result of that, other people were suddenly willing to say you're not alone. Okay? So you can have all these. I just need
But you
a
give
copy,
okay.
please, because I apologize for failing to bring you
That's
a
fine.
copy.
I will
And again,
stuff
I
these.
will tell you, you know, we'll put boots on the ground out there. We're happy to do that. But as you said to me, this wasn't a race, and the only race that we felt like we had was right here, just trying to let her heal a little bit. And I will tell you one other thing that I think maybe you want to know. This young woman is determined to go back to school. Okay? Um, so we're going back. Um, I'm scared, okay, but I think that certainly leaves the potential for some problems. Given all the facts and circumstances, I felt like you ought to know where all the people are right now.
Have you? I guess you're already enrolled, or
I'm enrolled in all of my classes and have been since last semester. And like my mom is an alumni of OU, and we've been going to like season tickets since I was 5, and this is the only school that I've ever wanted to go to in my whole entire life. I dreamed about it. I wore an OU shirt to school like every day. This is the only school I applied to. Um,
Daddy went to OSU.
yeah. But he, like this has obviously been um, a big like event in my life, and has like changed a lot of things, and I'm just not gonna let him take that away from me too. I just it's important to me, and I'm not gonna let him have that power over me.
Has anyone from the school contacted you?
I've talked to Stephen Ashmore, the head of student conduct,
Okay.
and he told me that he wants him to come back and is going to do everything he can to make sure that I am safe and that I feel safe, and because I was worried that they wouldn't want me to come back, so I was very upset, and I called him, and he was very reassuring.
Good. Okay. Good. And you don't live on campus, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, then you know who to call if there's trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. That is that is it for my questions. I mean, the the sidewalk stuff is important, and I'm so glad that you have a good recollection of that. You don't have to have a good recollection from what happened inside. I mean, I would have liked Dannon's memory to have been a little bit better,
Me too.
or not so cloudy. I
Yeah.
guess might be
Me,
a better
me
way to
too.
put it. Um, but that those were just words. So if you know what I mean, that
Detective,
just
do you have the tape there?
I do.
Can she see it?
Uh, if you wish, I'm not going to make you watch it.
I would like to see it.
Okay. And with the others, playing it for Danon was, I specifically was trying to refresh his memory. I don't expect that from you. Certainly, if something pops into your head and you go, "Oh my gosh, I know what somebody said right there,"
Mm-hmm.
uh, please. I don't know if that's a touchscreen or not. It's not my computer. Please tell me if you do remember something. Lord.
Pam, you should be able to see what I'm talking about, right where I think he's made his decision as to what he's going to do.
There's no audio. Can everybody see?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. That's his, David Smith right there. That was his arm. So you're fixing to walk up to this table right here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what time the 911 call was made?
2:42.
2:42.
Oh my god.
So it's in just a very few
And
seconds.
then
That's it.
Erica walks out like, what?
Mhm. We have another view that does not catch the assault, but it catches everyone coming and going
Going.
from the front. You can see, you know, milling around and activity outside.
I don't remember that at all.
It's
It's
probably
when
better
you were
you don't.
unconscious for a number of seconds there.
They shouldn't have stood you up.
No, last thing they should have done is stood you up.
But
Should have left you on the ground.
they are dumb kids, so
Not everyone's trained in that.
right. You should have just stayed right where you were at.
Yeah.
But
When you see this slower, oh, your head goes back so hard. When I first saw it, I thought she was dead.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good
Literally, I
thing.
thought I stood up and walked to the bathroom.
No, sweetie. Geez, it took 3 minutes for anyone to call 911.
and I'm not, I've never synced. Or, well, I guess it's really impossible to tell if this clock is.
Is actually saying,
Mhm,
okay.
mhm. I do think there was a lot of running around. Let's figure out what to do
Yeah.
before. It wasn't an automatic response.
Right.
So I will agree with you there. But
Hmm.
the time.
There was a delay. The
Mhm.
reason for the delay, who knows?
When he walks out, the other ball players follow
So I
him
didn't
out.
go to the bathroom?
Yes,
You do, but it
it's
takes you a
some
little
time.
bit of.
Right.
It's frozen.
It's up.
There you go.
Okay.
I want to watch it again.
I'm not very tech savvy, if you can't tell.
I think you started it. Mixon
Yeah.
doesn't
You think
leave.
I
He
started it?
stays
No, no, I
outside
think you
and
started
calls
it
his
over because I
coach.
just sat there. No, babe. No. And when you were talking about when it looks like I'm going like that, I think I was pointing at him to show Dave who I was talking about.
I think so too.
I wasn't asking him to come back inside.
See, I think right there demonstrates you're clearly shook up. But any woman who'd been assaulted like that on the sidewalk is going to be shook up.
Okay, from my perspective, from not being there,
Mhm.
and really not even really having a clear picture. In the video, literally, I read the report
Mhm.
and I went and I watched the video
Mhm.
because that was my first thing. Is I got to go secure that video. So I don't like this. Just this picture. Mixon is standing uncomfortably close
Yeah.
to Dan,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and if you watch it like this, yeah, let me see. He is talking to him,
Mm-hmm.
and we all know
Mhm.
what this usually means. He moves away.
Mhm.
He is so uncomfortable
And turns his
Turns his
back.
back.
right there.
And Mixon squares off.
And Mixon says, I called him a faggot. Right there.
And that was what made me mad. Like,
See, he makes himself small and
Yeah,
turns
he
away.
literally
And
tries to get
Mixon
as far
turns
away.
into it. He squares off right there.
But
That's where he plants his feet.
he says, I only called him a faggot in response to him calling me a nigger.
She'd have to be pretty stupid to be being harassed like that and call someone. I'm just
I'm sitting
tossing
there.
it out there.
I clearly.
Watch this.
And he drops his shoulder.
They're all saying that he's leaving, but
Look.
he's maybe there he's leaving. Right there, he is not leaving.
He's already drawn back.
He's already drawn back. He's already
He's already
dropped his
got his
shoulder.
fist
He's already in a fist.
before you ever.
What is this?
He's.
It's assault.
Wow.
It was over, honey, from the moment he walked in.
It was over before you touched him.
Did he spit on you? I mean, I can't explain that action.
That looks like he's rearing back to me.
Well, now I've lost track of which way I'm going. Watch his head. And it's so quick he knocks his own sunglasses off. I mean, it's that.
So where do I slap him? Was that it?
Right.
Your pitiful excuse for a slap with his fist. Wow. Your
Wow. Your
hand
hand's
is
not even down.
Your hand is still on his face. That's because he was ready.
Unbelievable. Who does that kind of stuff?
Well, I told you, I thought it looked like a gangster punch to me.
Can I see it, the rest of it, in slow mo?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask, but
That's where he must have been busted up in your lip.
and then if I can find the other one, two.
Even his lawyer describes that move as a lunge, right?
And I will probably have to describe it that way too. I just my initial viewing, I said he spit on her, and then um, the people who have had reason to see this, and I don't think the other tape is
If he
somewhere on
spit
here,
on me, I definitely slapped him. Like,
have agreed with me, but you're right in their own uh, version of the story. He said I jumped at her and said, "Watch out." So
Of course, you've got this looking in on the sidewalk. What kind of a man offers to hit a woman? And that was what was going on out there.
do you have any questions? Any of you have any questions?
I do. It's a question that I asked Eileen yesterday. If there's a charge made, does this become public?
No.
Okay, for sure, because I thought there was some open records at.
Pardon
Once
me, I'm
the
sorry.
case is completely adjudicated, however that happens, then that could be made public.
But we could request it to be sealed if we wanted to.
The police department's intent is when the case is adjudicated that we, and we do this routinely, we get rid of the evidence.
Okay, just curious.
So while some written reports may become
After appeal, when he
open
says
record.
completely, that's after appeals.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
after
wow.
every
That's
appeal.
everything. Okay. Which
Now,
could be a long time.
another copy exists, and that's with Pickleman's. That is, it is on their recording system. If and it's
I'm
possibly,
so sorry.
I take that back. It may have been overwritten by this point. I think most of those systems just roll over and roll over and roll over.
But not if they have good lawyers. Okay.
Well,
Good lawyers, they hang on to it.
they want absolutely nothing to do with this. I mean,
Um,
you would have to
Subpoena,
torture
probably.
that guy to the end of his life to get him to release that video. They don't want any part of it.
Does the other video show him walking out after this happened?
Yes, and I wish I could show it to
Does
you.
it? Is he by himself?
Yeah.
Is he with everybody else? Is he?
Well,
He leaves by himself, doesn't he?
And the others trailing behind.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
One of
happened
them
to notice that the guy
stayed-
you were talking to, Dave,
Jason.
he didn't do anything, but
He
then got
leaves.
up and left.
Yeah, he gets up and leaves.
everyone eventually leaves, and they tell the story in some form or fashion. I knew the cops were coming, and I got out of there.
I just think that the fact that I felt like I needed to go in there and I wouldn't say that me and Dave are like super good friends, like we know each other. Um, but the fact that I felt the need to like go and like tell him what was going on, like I was definitely disturbed by what was happening outside. Um, and he had to have said something really bad in order for me to react like that all of a sudden.
And he comes at you so hard and so fast, he makes his own sunglasses.
Can I watch it one more time?
Enough.
I mean, I think I would like to. You don't have to.
We've got another appointment.
Yeah, but
Um, David Smith is not your friend. How about I just say that?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm not
I would
surprised.
not. I would not go and contact him and say, hey,
Or go out for pizza with them.
this is a terrible thing that
I mean, I
this is
wasn't
a
like
terrible thing that happened to me, and you were there, and I'd like to talk about it.
yeah.
I would say that is.
You had two friends in that place, that's it.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Um, if you were to ask me a question,
Ma'am, do you have a question for the detective?
Who are my two friends? Is that the question that I should ask?
no, I think you know who your friends are.
Eric and Mel.
Yeah. Those are my pants that he's wearing, by the way.
So what does David have to say?
David says
Yeah.
that you came in from out on the sidewalk, and then you were saying that there were some guys out there trying to fight you. And he said, "What?" And then, of course, Danon is there, and then Joe Mixon walks up, and Joe Mixon asked Danon, "What did you say outside?" And then to David Smith, Danon says, "What's this nigger doing?" And then Joe Mixon hears that and reacts by saying, "You better shut your faggot ass up," or something along those lines. And then you struck, you threw your purse down, and you squared off with Joe Mixon.
My purse was on when he hit me.
And you squared off with Joe Mixon. And then you
Keep
pushed him.
listening.
Huh?
Listen.
Keep
Then you
listening.
Oh,
pushed him.
this is the story.
Yes.
And then
Okay.
you struck him with a closed fist as hard as any man has ever hit another man. And then he reacted, and he was defending himself.
So obviously he doesn't know there's a video. That's what Dave said.
Yes, that's what Dave said. So clearly he didn't know at the time there was a video.
Dude,
Or
that's
didn't care.
Chris.
Who's Chris?
Chris is the guy in the hat.
How do you know Chris?
He works with Colby, who was the other friend with me earlier in the evening.
Do we know if Chris saw this?
I don't think so because it looked like he walked up and asked Danon what happened.
Okay.
And then Colby told me that because they worked together, he like didn't. He knew that it happened, but he didn't know details.
Okay.
It's almost comical. This little tiny. And I'm sorry, he has water.
I want to watch
little
me
tiny
go to
man.
the bathroom. See how I'm walking. Yeah.
I'll let that run, and I will go make these copies
Thank you
real
so
quick.
much.
And if you need to,
The
you can,
arrows,
yeah,
yeah.
you can speed it up.
Anyway, we gotta get across the street.
Okay. I have